Brian Hood with American Structure Point. No, it's not it. That's how it is.
We don't want to.
I'm trying to get that whole screen.
Sorry, technology again, Bill.
I called it.
Look,
I'm just happy to be part of the team.
Well, we can go back.
yeah, it's there. It's right there. So
See this.
play music if you like.
Let's get rid of this. Right there.
I think you got to open.
There it is, right there. Okay. Okay.
You got to share it. You got. I think
I
you're-
will. I'll
okay.
open up. I don't know whose this is, and I'm not even sure why that's up there.
I think you're sharing his. So I think you have to have something open.
Okay, let's go back. Well,
This one.
yeah.
I think that's gonna happen.
Wait, no.
Then you gotta share everything. In Zoom.
It's hell getting old.
Where's my?
Yeah. I get.
We're good.
Okay.
We'll have to go back and forth.
Yeah, we'll go back and forth. Now can I zoom in on this? Is there a scroll? Or not?
There.
Okay, if
No,
not,
work with it.
okay. I'd like to be able to scroll in, and I apologize. Some of these I'd like to be able to scroll in unless you can do it
I'm
over
gonna
there.
turn the lights off here.
Okay. Okay. All right. So first of all, let's start by giving you a little bit of a background. On this, and for the city of Lake Station, the last large comprehensive plan that was done by locale. One of the communities was Lake Station, and there was a couple of areas that were part of that comprehensive study, specifically on the east side of Lake Station. Shortly after that comprehensive study came out, the city got active on this and wanted to look a little bit more in depth with what was going on within the city, but not only in one location, but citywide. In 2019, Lake Station hired American Structure Point to come in and do a comprehensive study, master plan of the entire storm sewer system throughout the city. This involved 2 years of doing field work in the summertime, mapping out the entire system, opening up structures, doing smoke testing, televising, and then ultimately we created shed maps to determine where all the segments in the city were flowing to, so we could have a better understanding where was all the stormwater being focused to, what were the issues, where were the bottlenecks, and where were areas that needed more storm sewers. So once we started working with that, we laid out multiple projects throughout the city, but one of the projects that stood out the most encompassed this area that I have here. That is located approximately 1.5 miles east of downtown of Lake Station. And again, I wish I could zoom in on this. Let me see if I can do something here.
You probably don't want me involved.
Well, you probably do better than this because this isn't my laptop. I think it's going to be important, especially since
I barely know how to use my own laptop here, so.
usually with a mouse, I can just roll it.
Bottom right-hand corner.
What do you think?
Yeah, the little, should be a zoom magnifying glass down there.
Adrian for the win.
The other one, right up above that one.
Oh, I can't see it.
Oh, that's why that thing.
Right there.
Look at that. Adrian, I love you.
All right. All right. We can get
There you go.
Okay.
Have fun.
All right. Thank you. Let's see if this works. Well, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Darn it. Okay, so just kind of get you acclimated to, we have Central Avenue on the north side of this project there. We have Deep River here on the west. And if I can figure out how to, I wonder if I can scroll it.
Oh, no, you're not gonna be able to do that.
Okay.
They don't buy me that complicated stuff.
Here we go. All right. And so right here on the east side, we have the county line, which is Portage on the other side. Then 29th down here on the south side. So once we started looking at this, we determined We created another map. Once we took all the GIS information, we laid out the entire system. We wanted to really focus in on this area because we really looked at all the complaints. We met with property owners out there during storm events. We drive out there, locate the problems. We take information we gather from the city. Then we start knocking on doors, set up appointments, and finding out exactly what was going on out in the field. Where was this water going? How long was this water sitting here? And what was the real issue? All right, now I'm going to go to the next slide, Dan. Let's see.
Guess you're gonna have to get out of that one.
Okay, so I'm going to X out here.
Yep.
Let's minimize.
Here's the next one.
Okay,
Seen that.
all right, and then zoom in.
That's what I thought did work.
All right, we're getting there. I'm getting used to this. Okay. So what we created here, the area in blue is the existing storm sewer systems. Now, this area encompasses 252 acres. This is the largest shed basin in the entire city. Again, just on the east side. There's only two ways that this storm water gets out of this entire system. We have an area here on the south that just charges to Deep River. And that encompasses just a few blocks down here, this segment right here. And then we have an outfall on the north side to Deep River. Now you will see this entire system all the way down to 29th Street. All of this go through this main trunk line through here. Now these areas that are highlighted in yellow, these are areas of complaints, flooding, street flooding, yard flooding. We have approximately 21 properties that are directly impacted. When I mean directly impacted, I mean not stormwater just sitting out in front of the roads where they can't get access to the property, but I'm talking about stormwater that's actually flowing into their property, into their parking lots, driveways, basements. Those are the ones here. There's actually over 30 of them that are impacted just being able to get access to their drives. Now, some of these here I've got on this one, I'm going to have a better slide with photos. Some other things that we looked at, let me see if I can zoom in here. Some of the televising that we were looking at, first of all, we were trying to figure out why are we having so many problems? What is the cause behind it? One of the things we did is televising these sewers. We have the main trunk line right up here that goes through this wooded area out to Deep River. Now, these storm sewers here made up of either RCP or clay. We don't know the exact age of it, but I'm telling you right now, if we got clay storm sewers out there, we're probably 40, 50 years old out there. The other fact is these are going through the woods. Now, of course, these would have had to be cleared when they put these sewers in. You walk out there now, it's completely overgrown. The only difference is some of the trees are smaller than the surrounding trees. And that's the only way you know there's something there. So that pipe that you see here, the roots, that's after it was cleaned. We televised that last year. We couldn't get cameras through it. So they went through and had to jet clean this thing. And if I zoom in a little bit more, well, maybe I don't have to, I don't want to move the picture, but every joint when you see through here has roots, and that's actually after it was jet cleaned. So that means you have separation of your joints, you have roots in there that were blocking the capacity, which was an issue. And then the lower picture here, we have a lot of longitudinal cracks throughout the whole storm sewer system that goes through the wooded area. But that's not the issue. We said, okay, we get that pipe cleaned up, we get better flow through there. This whole shed area, what we did is once we determined how much shed area is flowing to certain areas, we had determined that trunk line, and I'm going to go specifically, this one that goes down 25th Avenue through here, is size is a 21 inch. 21 inch handling 200 plus acres coming through there. Now, our modeling determined that we would need a minimum of a 30 inch to be able to handle this 10-year storm event. So let me talk a little bit about that. So a 10-year storm event, as many of you know, that's a basis of what we design our storm sewers around throughout the state. That's what we look at. A 10-year storm event, you're looking at about an inch, 1.3 inches in a 2-hour period. There's different ways you can look at it, but to keep it simple, that's what we're looking at. The last storm that we had was back in April 2nd, so 2 weeks ago. What was nice about that is that wasn't quite to a 10-year storm event. That was actually somewhere between a 5 and a 10-year storm event. So everybody went out there with their cameras, city work diligently went out getting photos. We went out there getting photos. And we were able to come up with all these areas that are flooding. And that was, again, not a full 10-year storm event. In some of the areas, and I'm going to show more pictures, but I'm going to focus on some of these.
I love pictures.
Yeah, that's great because we've got them. Let's start down here in the lower area. One thing you're going to notice, a lot of these end storm sewers on the end of these lines, that's where we really had a lot of the worst flooding.
What street is that? I'm sorry, 20.
That one's 29th Street.
Thank you.
And the reason is because this whole system gets surcharged and it's not able to drain. So what happens, the low area or the end area starts surcharging. And I'll zoom in on that picture here so we can get a better understanding of what we're looking at. See if I can get a little bit better. You let me know, I can zoom in more, but you can kind of see that right there. This entire street, I'm gonna get a little bit closer.
You can always send us the presentation
Yeah,
after.
okay, good. But I wanted to see this, and I'm gonna show you many other places just like this. The entire street's flooded. This is the area, and I've actually talked to these property owners on both sides over the years. And they do have water that comes all the way up to their garages on both sides of these streets through here.
Is
Now,
it
the
just
problem-
because of the capacity?
Well, that's the interesting thing in this area. Well,
Like any of
too many
Farm.
problems, is if you see here, look where the storm sewer stops. The storm sewer doesn't even go into this area. It doesn't go along any of the 29th spot. And now we have some areas like that, but that's not the issue. So we started looking at that and I said, well, that's an easy fix. We got to bring storm sewers to it. The problem is, if we end up extending storm sewers now, we're not solving a problem because that water still has no place to go. The real issue is the 21-inch along 25th Avenue that goes to Deep River. We have to upsize that to be able to address extending any sewers, storm sewers, to these other areas. So what we started looking at is, hey, we cannot start just adding inlets and storm pipe to address all these areas that currently don't have storm because it's not going to solve any problems. So we're spending a lot of money that isn't getting us anywhere. So what we looked at is the fact is we need to replace, upsize this trunk line through here to a 30-inch pipe that would address the model that we've created for this whole area. And just to put it in perspective, we have a 21-inch pipe. A 30-inch pipe doesn't sound that much bigger, but a 30-inch pipe actually has almost 3 times the capacity as that 21-inch pipe. So we have to go up 3 times to be able to service this whole area. So I'm going to go to our next slide here. Let's see, we were. What we were proposing to address the problems out there, and I'm going to show you all the nice pictures on the next slide. This representation, well, it's not a representation. This is the design that we currently are looking at. So the dark blue line there is approximately 4,500 feet of 30-inch through 12-inch, most of it being 30-inch and 24-inch. To be able to expand through those areas, which I'm going to show you the next slide, of where the largest focus of stormwater problems currently lie. All right, we can zoom in some of these pictures. So again, just on the last storm event from back in April, I'm gonna
April
go
of
in
24.
April this year, April 2nd,
Thank you.
this year. We had 1.25 inches of rain that day. Okay? And 1.25 inches of rain, I'm gonna show you what that did for this community. Now, you might be thinking, well, why did you pick this specific route? The reason is, as I go through these and some of these pictures, you're gonna see why I picked this route. But it also has done something else. It has allowed us to prevent a means to tie in laterals from that main trunk line to service some of these other areas. And also some areas that currently don't have storm sewers. The reason we picked this is because, first of all, everything you see here is within existing rights of way. There's no additional land that's going to be required or need to be purchased. We have, let's go along.
I have a question before you leave. The Polk School, does it, in a rain event like this or greater, do you have flooding and overtopping there at that school?
You better believe we do. And I'm gonna zoom in on that one. Let's see.
Zoom in on them all.
There is,
So I'm hearing that every time there's at least an inch of rain in an event, this is what happens to this area.
yes.
Thank you.
And I even got that verified from people who've been there many years and even the property owners, usually about an inch or more. This is what's happening. Now, just to talk a little bit about Polk School here. There is a driveway, and I don't got every single picture, but there's a large parking lot on the north side, but this is on the west side. So what happens, this is a trucking dock that they use to access to get down into that school for supplies and stuff like that. There's sort of a lower area here, but what happens is that parking lot on the north side, which has inlets that goes to the city storm drain, it can't keep up. So what happens is the water fills up and it flows down this drive into that. And I have pictures on the previous slide. And I can go back if you want to see them. I have pictures recently of the basement in that school that has about an inch of water in it. Now, talking with the school folks, they said what they end up having to do is put a pump down there to be able to keep up with the higher demands. Every time it rains, water finds its way, it goes down here. So what they did is they end up putting a pump in there and they're pumping it out into the system. The problem is, again, the system that they're pumping to doesn't have the capacity, so it cannot keep up. So just like from a couple weeks ago, again, they're still getting water in the basement. Then move around here. This area here is looking at Central Avenue. There's a gas station here just on the east side. You can see this whole entire intersection is flooded up here. I have various photos. Now, as you know, Central Avenue is one of the main corridors coming into the city. This has been a problem, as I understand, for years, and they just haven't been able to address it because they don't know what to do with it. Again, adding inlets does not solve the problem because the waters cannot get away quick enough because the trunk line is too small. Zoom out. Let's see.
So redo the whole system.
You guys like pictures a little bit. Let's see. I'm gonna go to some of the other ends here because these are.
What other alternatives other than this one did you provide to the municipality? Other than rebuilding this whole neighborhood?
Well, a couple things we looked at, and I think it was brought up the last meeting we had here. There was talk about, could we use some kind of detention in the wooded area? You know, there's a large lot. The problem with that, the wooded area is actually owned by two private entities. It is not available. The city would have to purchase that, and then you'd have to do all the clearing associated with that. Other than that, there's not a lot out here as far as being able to put someplace for detention unless you create much larger pipe and do some sort of subsurface detention. That gets expensive. I've done a lot of that in the past, but you have to have an area like maybe in a school parking lot to be able to create something like that. I'm gonna zoom in here.
You did your modeling and your design. Did you do retention there and how many acre feet it could possibly hold? Or no, you didn't do that?
We did, no. Once we knew we were limited for having any type of detention, especially in the woods, and then the city didn't own that, we kind of moved away from that. there's a lot more things to look at when you're just doing detention like that. We didn't get into exactly what size and how much water. Because the issue is, we still have, even if we put detention, we still have another probably 800 feet before we get to Deep River. And again, that pipe is all undersized. So we would still have to replace all that pipe up to the detention facility. And again, you can see, I'm going to even zoom in a little bit more. And again, I just want to give you guys an idea.
So all these existing pipes, Mr. Hood, that you're talking about needing to be replaced, are they all the same age as the ones that you were showing previously?
The main trunk line through the woods and down 25th Street are original. Now, when you get up to,
Is that 50 years, 70 years? I can't remember.
well, we don't have the exact, but I'm saying, when I see clay pipe, I'm thinking 40+ years on that. And the condition of the pipe with all the roots and the longitudinal cracks. And the city didn't have a good answer because it's hard. Some of those records are many years ago, but I'm going to say 40 to 50
Got
years
lost in the
plus.
flood, probably.
Yeah.
So that whole box that you show the neighborhood, they all have clay pipes. That's how I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah. And what happens with clay pipe over the years, they don't have the seals like they do now in the PVC. Of course, you got joints that aren't tight. You got a lot of silt and things that fill in. So you can see, again, this is right at Central Avenue come up. Again, this is one of the low areas on the ends, and you can see the amount of water that just inundates. And just to let you know, this wasn't even taken the day of the storm. This was taken the day after the storm. If this was properly sized for a 10-year storm event, this water would have never been here. It would have been gone. Now, the other issues that are going on out here at the site that I've noticed around is, I'm going to use this as an example.
Combined sewers.
No, it isn't. Zoom on that. I'm going to give you an example here. We have an inlet along Central Avenue. Now, this is pretty common throughout the community. If you notice this, one thing over the years, looking at a lot of problem areas, you notice all the cracking around this inlet. So what happens? These old inlets, these old pipes, you get silts, the joints are tight. The silts start leaking into the pipe. You get these voids underneath. But also when the water can't get away, you get this hydraulic pressure underneath the pavement. And that hydraulic pressure will build up. And that's one reason you get so much cracking of your pavement like this, is because that water has no place to go and it builds up and it gets up underneath that pavement. Now you can notice here, if I zoomed in a little bit more, you're going to notice there's been asphalt patches around this inlet. Why? Because this area is slowly starting to sink in because all the silts and stuff are just getting in there. Basically, it needs to be torn up, raised up, filled, and new pipe. And that's just one location. We've got locations like that throughout this area where we're seeing a breakdown of the pavement just because of the hydraulic pressure that's underneath it. So real quick, and again, I'd happy to look at some more pictures or anything else, but the city, because they wanted to get this addressed, and we've seen a lot of problems that's going on out here, was to get an understanding exactly how much this was going to cost. City decided to hire us back in a couple of years ago to start looking at the design on this. They actually paid for the design up front because they wanted to see the magnitude. What is this going to cost to address this issue? So they went ahead and paid for that. And we are currently, over the last 2 years working on this, we are around 90% design on this project. So at this point, we have a real good handle on exactly what's needed. The cost on this project, we're coming right around $3.1 million. And the city is asking for an 80% match on that, which is $2.5 million. And again, I'd be happy to go through this. And again, we've got a lot of pictures, and these are just a few the city was sending to us and incorporating, but a lot of it, and I look back and I say, well, how did this happen from over the years? Well, one of the big thing is the areas to the south of here along 29th Street are a lot of the newer houses. These are houses that, by the look of them, they were built in the 60s, probably in the 70s. So a lot of these areas are additional, adding to some of the impervious areas. Areas along Central Avenue, there's a lot of businesses. You got the gas station, you've got businesses that are lining both sides of the roadway. chances are when that storm sewer originally went in, a lot of these places didn't exist. So over the years, of course, you get more and more impervious areas, you get more inlets, downspouts and everything else. You inundate that existing system and it just can't keep up.
All right. Is that it?
That's it.
All right. Any questions for this young man as it relates to this project? It's a big one.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Ware.
The trunk line, you're proposing to go to 30-inch and maybe I'm not familiar, you state 10-year flood or rain event, which seems like we're having more and more frequently, right?
Yes.
And heavier and larger amounts. Did you look at the possibility of, if that's the main trunk and you were anticipating possibly future lines being tied back into this where you don't have them now, does it make sense to make that main trunk like a 36?
We could make it larger. Now, when we modeled that, we modeled the areas that on the previous slide with the orange areas that didn't have the sewers. We actually modeled it in a way if we did extend storm sewers to those locations. So to serve those areas that currently weren't served, we took that into consideration. Now, as far as say down on 29th on the south side of the street, a 50-house subdivision went in. No, we didn't account for that. But I will tell you that 30-inch too, we also have a pretty good slope on that pipe as well. So we took that as part of the flow condition using PVC.
I have a technical question, Mr. Chair.
I love those.
It's been a minute since I've done any design, but I checked my math. You said it was 3 times the capacity from a 21 to 30?
Yeah, because right now the 21 is made up of concrete and clay pipe. So they're different smooth ratio in there. We're
Okay.
proposing a PVC, which is much smoother, flows much nicer. And then just the way the calcs are, the 30-inch is, basically.
Just, I mean, that the area to area is two times.
Yeah.
If I did
You're
that
actually-
right.
Yes, but because of
Then
the
the smooth-
material
okay,
type.
the
That's
material ratio.
good catch. That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have one that mentions that there's on the application, only 21 parcels. How are you assuming 21 parcels were that large box you showed in one of your slides in the whole neighborhood? I know I went to IU, but that's definitely more than 21.
I thought the same.
Well, I think what I was talking, it was let me see,
So 21 properties directly. at the city,
directly, yes.
And then. at the
That's
property.
exactly. So this
What
area
does
here.
directly mean?
So directly is.
Going from zero stormwater to having some?
So the directly is when it's actually in the property itself. So we have a lot of areas of street flooding, even more than 21, but I'm talking about the properties that are directly impacted where the water is on the properties, in the parking lots or in the homes. We have
And then
21.
most of those are gonna be in those yellow boxes?
Yeah, most of the
You showed
ones,
me 29th Street, you know, Mr. Hood, and there was a bunch of water down there, but that doesn't get onto their property.
that is right.
Right.
We have right through here, this lower area, there's 5 homes right now that are getting inundated with water. 5 I know it looks like a lot because it's zoomed in, but that's right. There's 5 houses that are.
The yellow horizontal,
Pardon?
the yellow horizontal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other?
Yeah, if you want to talk about street flooding in front of homes, there's a lot more, but I'm looking, we were trying to focus on the people that are directly impacted that met with us and we had a real concern where, the problem is there are no site ditches out here. There are no curb and gutters. So that water just sits in a lot of these areas.
Excuse me, but how many homeowners have been affected by this?
Well, like I said, with ones we know directly, 21.
What you said?
Yeah.
Okay, I've been over there. I've seen the problem that you have over at Lake Station, and I see that definitely needs to be resolved.
And like you brought up, okay, let's say Central, we got a lot of flooding there. It may not directly impact someone's homes through there, but just the traffic itself coming through Central Avenue, that's a pretty good flip through there. So it does affect just the flow of traffic, if nothing else.
Are we the only source of funding you're looking at to do this?
City of Lake Station, anything on that one?
Say, yes, besides what the money the city's putting into it.
But we haven't looked at emergency or anything? Talk about stuff like this? Just asking.
We did approach the congressman's office last year
Mm-hmm.
about trying to.
I'm sorry, sir, can you come up here and we have to do this whole thing? because you're asking somebody in the thing. Are you from the city?
Yes.
Could you please come up and over here? Cause then you get on the camera, introduce yourself. It's all real official talking about all this money. All right?
No problem.
Yes, sir.
All right. Adrian Vera, I'm Chief of Staff for the City of Lake Station. And we did have conversation with the Congressman's office about a year ago. And at the time, there was really no funding available to help us with this project. They had told us the pot of money that they used to work with got reduced quite a bit amount, and really the amount of money that they would distribute between multiple municipalities in the region over here, that amount of money got shrunk down. So there's really nothing at the time.
How about state grants? I mean, I read in paper all day, this municipality got this and this got that and
Oh, like the community.
community crossing grants.
That is, we have.
I'm just asking a question.
Before, but mainly for road paving.
And I'll jump in there. You're right. There's different types of grants and we've got grant people that specialize in that. I don't specialize in that per se, but I do remember the conversations. There's a lot of different types of criteria, what they're covered for, amount of money and all different types of things. It seems like we never seemed to match exactly what they were looking.
Okay.
One other question.
Yes, sir.
It's fair. If this is resolved, it will improve the quality of life for all those individuals living in that area.
Absolutely.
Who've been swamped with it for years. And at the same time, wouldn't it also create more additional construction development for more homes and more people to come in the area to
Yes.
support the tax base?
We do have there's a little bit of land to the south of 29th Avenue
Right.
that there's opportunity for more development of homes over there as
Right.
well.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, absolutely, like you said, this would be a huge improvement to the quality of life for the residents
Right.
in that whole area. I mean, Little Cal, I mean, you guys would be saviors to all those residents over there. If we were able to get help with this. It's been this way. I grew up in Lake Station. I'm 45 now, and I grew up there, and it's always been that way. Rode bike through neighborhoods growing up. There's a few playgrounds over there, and it's always been that way. So this is just something really the previous administrations haven't really tried to do anything about it. Eric Carroll's here, myself, and we've been trying to figure out a solution, a way to help the residents. So appreciate you guys' consideration.
With
Quick
the,
follow-up, Mr. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
just a quick question and follow up to, Commissioner Castellanos. With the potential development south of 29th Avenue, just take that under consideration.
That was my question.
I will tell you, based on that, we didn't look at, and you can see the open areas down there just south of 29th. We didn't look at taking on additional development down in that area. If that is something, and again, we're kind of stopped at 90%, especially after this last rain event, because things continue to get worse, is if that's something that's on the table, sometimes it's as easy as going up the size in the pipe, be able to handle all of that.
Quick
Or we
question.
could look at maybe detention down in that area too, where a lot of new development, you have to have a detention. Or we could have an outlet that would serve that. We can run that. down.
That's what I was
Just to
gonna
be
ask.
clear-
Would that possible future development feed into that south trunk that you show on the diagram? Would that feed into there, that possible development? And not go back up north to the trunk that you've identified in the design?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
Well, there's questions here about possible future development there on the south of 29th, I believe it is. Would that feed into that south trunk line and possible holding there, or would it travel north into this designed area?
Originally, when we looked at that, if you see the long gold blocks vertical here, originally, one of the additional studies we looked at is what future projects could feed off of that. And we actually have coming off the blue line or trunk line, coming straight south through that big rectangle gold area, all the way down to 29th Street. Okay. And then we could spread it out there and pick up that whole corridor or anything that was developed to the south of there. So that was another project, a future project that we laid out, which were several for this area. But again, we need that main trunk line to be able to address everything.
I can chime in, Eric Wolverton, I'm also with American Structure Point. We serve as the city's on-call city engineer. I am that, so any future development that would occur on the south side of 29th Street would be required to meet the city's current stormwater ordinance, which requires detention on site. So even if there was a large development there, that doesn't mean the entire development is going to flow to that area at one time. It's going to be detained on site and discharged at a regulated rate.
Is anything south of 29th in the future? Let's think not just about the challenges today, but also tomorrow. Also gonna go into this new system?
Right now, I know no development that's planned south of 29 right now. So
Houses down there and a whole lot of open space.
If you look at this and you decide that
oh, we got
the pipe needs to be increased by,
Take a number.
we're
size.
we're talking 30 to a 36 or 48.
Exactly.
Are we talking significant money beyond that?
No, sometimes going up the pipe size, if you're already digging in the ground, you got all the labor in there. So whether they're putting in a 36 or a 42, labor wise, you're not talking any difference. It's just the cost of the pipe.
Mhm.
So if you're going to do it, and if there's a thought about it, it would be to do it now because you're going to have a significant savings.
Yes, sir, Mayor.
Mayor Bill Carroll, City Lake Station. I just wanted to say anything south of 29th, we're impeding onto Hobart. In a way, the way the boundaries are all spread out. So we're focused on the city of Lake Station. We're focused on the citizens who for years, numerous years, have undergone this flooding per se. This is not the same Lake Station that it was 10 years ago. Every day we're evolving. We're evolving as a city. We're evolving as a better city. And with a project like this shows our community and people who want to invest back into our city, which has been a massive outpour in the past 5.5 years since I've been mayor. It gives them some hope. It gives them something to look forward to. Saying, hey, listen, other people besides the city of Lake Station care about the future of Lake Station. If we succeed, the region succeeds. And that's how I look at this. I know it is a lot of money, but the impact of that money is worth it. And with that being said, I want to thank the board and thank everybody for taking the time to listen to us, accepting our application and you know, every community has problems. I totally understand that. I'm aware of that. I'm empathetic towards that. But I'm asking to please help Lake Station continue to move forward in the direction that we are moving in right now. We are a team player. We want to help be part of the best of the region. We want to make the region even better than what it is. And with these projects like this, it shows people that our government does care, that we care about our citizens. And for that, I would thank you for your time and I thank you for your consideration. And God bless everybody.
Thank you. Any other questions for these gentlemen?
I just have a comment on what the mayor just said.
Oh, please.
Okay, I've seen when we did the project for the Rock River, it has truly increased citizens for doing recreation. It's been really helping out Bella Booze a lot. I mean, the whole area just exploded. I've been over there and I had family members who've been over there.
It's a lot.
And they really enjoyed it and we see what can be done. And you got a lot of hardworking people in that area. And I'm pretty sure that what you're asking for, considering what the board's gonna do, and I'm for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.